So welcome to Renegade Conversations. My name is Meryl Cook. I'm an artist, a renegade, and the host and creator of Renegade Conversations. My mission is to provide thought-provoking, fearless, and fun discussions with remarkable female rebels who are shaking things up in their respective fields. My hope is this will make you question the norms and ignite your own renegade spirit. So welcome, Jennifer Gillivan. It's my great pleasure to have this conversation with you.
It's wonderful to be here this morning. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Jen, you and I have met briefly on several occasions through various local networking events in the Maritimes. And I've also heard you speak many times. And I particularly admire your encouragement to women in midlife and beyond to stand up and to be noticed and to keep sharing our wisdom and expertise. And one time that I heard you in particular was, I think it was a Wonder Woman conference. You actually said, don't retire. The community needs you and your expertise. You know, we need to, as midlife women, to keep sharing our expertise. So that really stuck with me, Jen. It was very inspiring. So
the myth is that we are sort of finished and done in mid-age. And in fact, that's when we're at our best. And we have to change that myth in this world, because the world actually, if you look around, needs us more than it ever did. And so I'm really quite passionate that women do not buy into this myth that they're done. In fact, they're only getting started mid-age.
Absolutely. I certainly feel that. I feel like I am just getting started at 66. Yeah. So yeah, it's great.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to read a little bit from your bio. Jen, you have a very extensive bio, so I won't read the whole thing. But yeah, it gets embarrassing, right? Jennifer Gillivan is president and CEO of the IWK Foundation. The foundation is the primary fundraising and outreach partner of IWK Health, which provides critical and specialized care to women, children, youth, and families throughout the Maritimes. Jennifer is very passionate about the rights of women and children in our society. Additionally, Jennifer was instrumental in the creation of Canada's Children's Hospital Foundations, a national organization dedicated to improving healthcare for Canadian children. Jennifer continues to be a national advocate for better healthcare for children across Canada. And Jennifer continues to be passionate about improving research for women's healthcare in Canada, and is working towards changing the system for all women through more focused research. Jen has an extensive background in philanthropy, partnerships, public speaking, strategy, marketing, and leadership. Born and educated in Dublin, you may notice a little bit of an accent that she has, Ireland. Jennifer immigrated to Canada in 1982. Prior to joining the IWK Foundation, Jennifer worked with the CBC for 14 years, most recently as National Director of Partnerships, Communications, Marketing, and Brand for the CBC across Canada. Jennifer is a seasoned executive leader, as well as a passionate, motivational speaker and contributor to her community and country. And she's received many, many awards, and I'll just name a few. Jennifer was awarded Atlantic Business Magazine Top CEO 50 Award for 2014, 2015, 2017, 2018, 2019, and was inducted into the 2019 Atlantic Business Magazine Hall of Fame. She was also awarded the RBC Top 25 Canadian Immigrant Award for 2017 and the Top 25 Maritime Immigrant Award for 2017. And it goes on and on. And I know that Jen asked me not to read too much of her bio. So Jen and her husband, Joe, call Halifax home, along with family and our proud grandparents to Nora, Franklin, and Malachi. And aren't you lucky to have 3 wonderful grandchildren?
Really lucky.
Absolutely. So welcome, Jennifer. And it really is my great pleasure to have this conversation with you. So let's just start with, Jen, what does being a renegade mean to you?
Renegade to me is an outlier. It's someone, I think I've been it all my whole life actually, but it's someone who doesn't conform, who doesn't always fit the norm, who probably uses the word why a lot, especially as a child, and still does, and is someone who's just a little bit off, a little bit outside of what is considered the norm, whatever that is anymore. But it's just someone who pushes the envelope, who tries things, who is the person who speaks up in a meeting or asks the question no one else wants to ask, but everybody wants to hear the answer to. I think you're born a renegade. I really do. I don't think you learn to be one. I think you either are or you're not. And I would definitely say I've always felt like I was the salmon swimming up the wrong end of the stream since I can remember. So that to me is what a renegade is.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think of the I've done a few of these interviews now, and all but one person said they were a renegade from the very beginning. So yeah, I think that's really true.
Oh, yeah.
So what impact has being a renegade had on your life and your career? Sort of what challenges and also what opportunities has it brought for you?
I would say at the beginning, when you're a child, you don't really understand why you feel so unusual or outlier or different. And so it can be actually quite tough, especially where I grew up, which was very regimented, Irish, Catholic, convent nuns run schools. And you can picture me trying to be in that situation. It wasn't pretty. And I didn't have a very happy childhood in terms of schooling. Some people look back on their schooling with fond memories. I look at them and think, oh, like I can't even relate to that. And I saw actually a study recently where they had taken a group of 5-year-olds, just average 5-year-olds, and 90% of them had the qualities for a genius. They came back 5 years later when they were 10-year-olds, and now it had dropped 30%. By the time they reached adulthood, it was the average, which is 2% are potentially genius level. And I think about all the wasted, genius, all the wasted artists, all the Michelangelos we'll never discover, all the writers, because we do try to make people conform.
Yeah.
And if it's one thing I could wish for, it would be for children to have this freedom to be themselves, freedom to express and to create, and not just learn by robot, and not conform. That would be for me the ideal school. So from a young age, it was a challenge, but also it forced me to spend a fair bit of time on my own. They had a chair outside my classroom, which I'm truly self-taught. I sat out there, but I was a huge reader. So I would read and I would use my imagination and I would go off into my own world. And so that actually was fostering the whole renegade model inside me, not knowing it.
Yeah.
When I became an immigrant, especially when I came to Canada, it's a blank canvas. You can be anything you want. So you can either look at that as a negative or a positive. I looked at it as a positive. I thought, okay, this is like brand new country, brand new everything. Nobody, nobody's talking about what part of Dublin are you from, a class system, whatever. You'd no constraints. And so I reinvented myself over and over, still doing it. And so for me, it was probably the best thing because I stood out. And I learned quickly and I was fearless and I tried things. And that is sort of the hallmark of any immigrant that makes it in another country. So yeah, so it worked for me to be a renegade in the end. But at the beginning, I would say you don't understand it. You just don't know why you can't help yourself, but you need to know why. You can't be just told, learn this. You need to know why you need to learn it.
Absolutely.
The teachers then they didn't want to tell you.
No.
So yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I think that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Did you bring a favorite beverage today? We forgot to ask you that.
I did. I start my mornings every morning with my Irish berries tea that I buy in a shop here that has British and Irish produce. But I love my black tea first thing in the morning. So that's what I have.
Lovely. And does it taste different than the regular orange pico that we buy?
I think it does, but that could be half psychology. But I think it does. It has more of a bite to it.
Nice. Jennifer, I've heard you speak a number of times, and I always come away feeling really inspired, also more courageous, and also encouraged. And I love your TEDx talk about embracing your authentic self. I think it was at a Wonder Woman conference a few years ago that you spoke about how much women in midlife and beyond have to offer. And as we heard in your bio, you care deeply about a number of issues, and in particular, the issue of women's health research. I've heard you reference a book called Invisible Women, and it's about the data bias in a world designed for men. Right? Can you talk about this a little bit? I know it's a really big deal for us and for you.
Yeah. Well, I think the first part of your question, I think from the time we're little girls, told how to behave. We're told what to do. We live in a world that's been designed anyway for males. And when you read this book, I challenge anybody who's looking at this podcast, go get this book. You will never look at the world the same way ever again. And so you realize that you're already outside the norm, trying to fit into what the norm is the state. Male is the standard norm in every aspect, whether it's a car you drive, your heating system, the design of buildings. And for me, what really grabbed me about this book was that it has different chapters and it talks about, the different elements of life. And the one that really grabbed me was the health. If you don't have your health, what do you have? You can have riches, you can have success, but if you don't have your health, that's the core of your being. And what really resonated with me was Caroline had done a lot of research around this particular topic. And really the medical system has been set up that the male is the standard norm. Mm-hmm. And so even to today, if you're a doctor, female or male, the majority of the curriculum you're training in is the male, and that we're the abnormals. Somehow women are the abnormal. Most of the research done around the world is done on male mice, male cells. I've asked researchers why, and they say, well, female mice, because they have cycles, they're not as stable. So you can imagine how much we've missed. You can imagine the breakthroughs that haven't even happened. Mm-hmm. You look at research, it's such a low percentage of research is on women's health, truly women's health, from the WEC labs, from the very beginning. Yes, we're included in clinical trials, but by then it's too late, in my view. And so it's trying to make, I would love to see med schools that are just for, if you just want to be a doctor for a female body, that's what you're training in. I would love to see that, because I feel that we women have, we've endured so much. Like that, you see these things on social media where they simulate the pain of a normal monthly cycle with guys, and geez, they fall on the floor. They can't even handle it. Not only do we handle it as women, we raise children, we go out and keep our careers going, we progress in our careers, we run for politics, we do whatever we do. So, really and truly for me, the game changer for my daughters and my granddaughter is going to be, can we encourage and, focus the medical system to start training doctors on women's bodies, training them on hormones, which is key to it's like the engine to a woman's body. Yeah. Start studying menopause, start actually understanding what that is, because it's not what you think it is. And it starts very early. You're in premenopause by the time you're 30. And there's lots of things that we could be studying and changing about everything from our diets, our hormones, etc. That would help us. So in spite of all of that, women have 2X chromosomes. We are technically stronger, which nobody talks about. We always hear about the weaker, fairer sex. That's rubbish. We are stronger. So that's how we're able to endure all this pain and upheavals, right? And so then you see women coming out of menopause, which I'm, 62, you're 66, this is our best time. It really this is like a fine wine you just opened and decanted. Don't go home, don't retire, rewire, change, reimagine. But the world needs us. The world needs us to go and fight for things and try things and push for things and run for things and create things. We need to be doing that. And so this myth that at 65 you're done is rubbish. It
really is. It really is. It feels like I was talking with someone recently about creativity in midlife, and how there's this, once your hormones have changed, there's this huge surge of creativity. And I've certainly experienced that, and as an artist, but I think it's also creativity in many facets of our lives, because we suddenly have the physical energy and we also have the clear space. Like generally our kids are launched, our careers are launched, and we've got some time to think and to be more creative.
We know stuff, and it's the time to explore, and it's the time to look behind and help others behind you that are younger. I'm a big believer in mentorship, and helping others, especially women, but also men. I'm seeing more men you know, walking down the street with prams now and strollers than I've ever seen. Like the world's changing, things are shifting. But if you think about what I was originally saying about these children and in the study about geniuses, imagine if kids were allowed to unleash all that creativity younger. Like you were probably an artist your entire life, but you really probably didn't have the time and the space until a certain age to actually unleash it. But imagine if you don't had the sort of milieu and the environment, you know, and this is what we've got to look at. Like the world's disrupting right now, and some of it's quite scary, but some of it's actually quite exciting. And I think we're not far off from a 4-day week, and you know, people are working from home more, but we haven't changed a thing about schools. We haven't changed a thing. And in fact, in some countries like the US, my God, they're banning books now. Like what are we, back in the 1800s?
It is very unbelievable.
Crazy. Crazy. So yeah, I'm all for women. I think the world needs us. It's that whole, like if you look at the indigenous cultures, you know, the wisdom's in the elders, you know, the wisdom, that's where it is. And it's a lot of matriarchal wisdom that drives a lot of their cultures and their traditions and I think we've got to start honoring women. And, you know, and so I admire women in, like, you know, the actresses like Meryl Streep or Judi Dench. They're not doing Botox. They're not running around trying to be anything other than who they are.
I love that.
They're powerful.
And they have so much to offer.
There's such power in being yourself. I don't know why we always think we have to be something other than ourselves. There's such a power in uniqueness of who you are. You came in with all of this. You know what you know. We should be in a society that allows us to express that, and that's okay. It's okay
from a young age, and not just when we're in midlife and ready to bust out, right? We should be able to bust out from a very young age.
Absolutely.
I agree totally.
Absolutely.
Jen, I have a question for you, and that is there a line or shape that would define you, and what would that look like? This is one of the questions that I ask in my workshops. It's about getting people to think outside the box and unblock their creativity. So do you have some thoughts on a line or a shape that might define you?
Yeah, I think it's a circle, actually, for me. I love collaboration, so my hands automatically go into a circle form when I say that word. I love, that's my style of leadership. I love harmony in my home life. I love everyone being around. I love, you know, my husband says your chicks are all under one roof. Like I like that feeling. And I think about life as that circle. And so you've got stuff you did behind you, but you've also got the stuff coming, but it kind of all fills around a full circle. It's like, what are you leaving for the next generation? And that spiral of circles. So that's sort of what I think of. It's a great question. It's a great question.
Oh, thanks so much. I get so many amazing answers. It's wonderful. Great. Thank you. And Jen, this is my last question, and it's, what advice do you have for other women who want to either embrace their own renegade selves, become more of their inner wild woman, get started? What advice would you have?
Yes, so I have for women younger, I would say go back to when you were a child and actually think about before you had to conform. What were you actually doing? For me, it was I was 3 and I was standing in front of a china cabinet with my hands out, speaking to this group that had come to, actually for my parents, didn't come for me, but I thought they all came to hear me talk. So where am I in my sweet spot? My sweet spot's on a stage talking. I have no idea why. I'm never afraid to do it. I can do it at a drop of a hat, and it doesn't matter how big the room is. For middle-aged onwards women is to first realize that you're only beginning. Like you're really only getting started, and to sort of acknowledge and celebrate what you have done instead of just poo-pooing it and putting it to the side and saying, oh no, if whatever you've done up to that point, acknowledge it and celebrate it. Lean on other women to help you, to mentor you, to open a door for you, to connect you in any way, and really start to do the inner work on yourself, because this is the time in your life where you can really get strong inside and say, what am I gravitating towards? What do I want to do? What am I really, you know, looking at in the world and saying, that's not right. I can't stand by and allow this to happen. Okay, well then get in and get involved in whatever that looks like. And it could be that you make an impact in your own family, and that's great. or it could be you make an impact in a world stage. That's just as great. Just make an impact.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, when you're in your, last moments of life, it's not going to be how much you had, or it's going to be, what was the impact I made on my family, and what was the impact I made in the world. And if you can create impact in those two key areas of your life, you will have left a legacy, because I'm looking at this thing floating around social media right now, and it's talking about in 100 years from now, your house is gone, all your possessions, your lovely jewelry, your art.
Yeah,
maybe your art will live. Maybe you'll buck that one. But most of us, it'll be gone. And unless we've done something pretty profound or created an impact, maybe you're in a picture frame on a wall. Maybe they won't even have picture frames in 100 years from now. Yeah. So what have you done? What's going to create a legacy? And the legacy is how you made a difference, how you showed up. So, the work I do, it's tough work because it's a lot. It takes a lot to do it, but there's an impact, right? Like, I know our team, with the generosity of donors, has built the best NICU, neonatal intensive care unit, in the world. That's sitting right now in Halifax. And people never believe me until they go see it. And then they go, oh yeah, you weren't just boasting, or exaggerating.
Yes.
So we're constantly looking at building whatever we can and doing whatever we can for families, right? Mm-hmm. We don't know that there's a child that's life is going to be saved through that act that goes on to be the next great big thing in our world, the next Einstein. We don't know. No. And so we all have this ability to create impact and ripples. And if we can do that and do it till we stop breathing, great. And then I would say, dress the way you want, wear your hair the way you want, be as outrageous as you want. I love these things you see videos with women, at a concert, and they're like, all the younger ones are sitting perfectly dressed, and here comes the two 67-year-olds, and they're giving it. I mean, they're giving it. They're dancing, they're at it. And I go, that's that freedom to just be who you are, and that's good enough. You don't have to be anything else.
No, just exactly.
The world needs you as you.
Yes. Yeah, that's wonderful. What wonderful advice. Thank you so much. I love the 67-year-olds just giving her at a concert, because love that. It's wonderful. Oh, thank you so much. And Jen, do you have a question for me?
I love how you are integrating art and the art of conversation and pulling it together. I think that's really a unique thing, and I don't know where that came from, but I think you're on to something. I think the art of conversation in the world of social media and 140 sound bites has in some ways disappeared, and it's just, here's a Monday, we're recording this, and it's just a lovely way to start the day, right? Two women surrounded by beautiful art, at least on your side at the back of your wall, your art, and we're having this conversation, and I just think that's a neat thing to do.
Well, I started this because I really wanted to kind of build my tribe of other women who were really wanting to rock their midlife and beyond. I feel like there's a little bit of a revolution happening in the world. I believe that women of our age and our vintage and younger women are really seeing the power of being ourselves and of stepping up and speaking out. And so I just wanted to add to that conversation. And also, it was a wonderful way for me to meet other women that maybe I've always wanted to meet and have a conversation. So thank you so much, Jen. It's been such a pleasure to speak with you, and I really appreciate it. And I hope this episode has left you feeling inspired and ready to channel your own renegade spirit. And if you need a little help getting started, reach out to me, and we'll have a conversation. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Renegade conversations.